President Donald Trump has said he can't imagine why U.S. hotline calls about disinfectant have risen after he suggested injecting the substance to treat coronavirus.
Appears to have on killing the virus, both surfaces and in the air. We've seen a similar effect with both temperature and humidity as well, where increasing the temperature and humidity, or both, is generally less favorable to the virus. So the virus is dying at a much more rapid pace just from exposure to higher temperatures and just from exposure to humidity. If you look at the fourth line, you inject the sunlight into that, you inject UV rays into that, the same effects on line 2 at 70 to 75 degrees with 80% humidity on the surface, and look at line 4, but now you inject the sun, the half-life goes from 6 hours to 2 minutes.
The governors of Michigan and Maryland on Sunday blamed the president for the spike in such calls. Following heavy criticism from medical professionals, Mr. Trump said his remarks were made sarcastically. Disinfectants are hazardous substances and can be poisonous if ingested. During Monday's COVID-19 news conference, a reporter noted that the state of Maryland's emergency hotline had received hundreds of calls in recent days seeking guidance about Mr. Trump's comments. "I can't imagine why," the president said, moving quickly on. "I can't imagine that."
So I ask Bill a question that probably some of you are thinking of if you're totally into that world, which I find to be very interesting. So supposing we hit the body with a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light, and I think you said that hasn't been checked, but you're going to test it. And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do either through the skin or in some other way. And I think you said you're going to test that too. Sounds interesting. Right, and then I see the disinfectant, where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? Because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number in the lungs. So it'd be interesting to check that. So that you're going to have to use medical doctors with. But it sounds interesting to me. So we'll see. But the whole concept of the light, the way it goes in 1 minute, that's pretty powerful.
When asked whether he took responsibility at all for the increase in calls, Mr. Trump replied, "No, I don't." Last week, the Maryland governor's office said it had issued a statewide alert warning against ingesting or injecting disinfectants following the president's remarks. Mr. Trump made the disinfectant remarks on Thursday, after an official presented the results of U.S. government research that showed COVID-19 could be killed in minutes by bleach. "I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute." 1 minute, Mr. Trump said. "And is there a way we can do something like that, by injection inside or almost a cleaning?" On Friday afternoon, Mr. Trump told journalists, "I was asking a question sarcastically to reporters like you just to see what would happen."
Mr. Bryan, can you explain why some hot spots we've seen in the U.S. are hot and humid, like New Orleans, for example?
Let me explain. If you look at the coronavirus as a chain with many links, what we've done through our study is we've identified some of the weak links in that chain that the transmission of the virus depends upon. We identified that heat and humidity is a weakness in that chain. We've identified that sunlight, solar light, UV rays is a weakness in that chain. That doesn't take away the other activities, the guidance from the White House, the guidance from the CDC and others on the actions and steps that people need to take to protect themselves. This is just another tool in our tool belt, right? Another weapon in the fight that we can add to it. And in the summer, we know that summer-like conditions are going to create an environment where the transmission can be decreased, and that's an opportunity for us to get ahead.
The president.
During Monday's Rose Garden press conference, Mr. Trump was also asked whether he would delay the presidential election in November. "I never even thought of changing the date of the election," he said. "Why would I do that?" Former U.S. Vice President Joe Biden, Mr. Trump's presumptive Democratic opponent, said last week he thought Mr. Trump would try to kick back the election somehow. But Mr. Trump told reporters the idea was made-up propaganda. "I look forward to that election," Mr. Trump said. Constitutional scholars have already noted that if a president wanted to change the timing of a White House election he would be unable to do so, even in an emergency, because the date is set by Congress. Mr. Trump was also asked by a reporter if a president who has lost more Americans over 6 weeks than died during the 2 decades of the Vietnam War deserved to be re-elected. He said his administration had done an unbelievable job. The total number of confirmed U.S. COVID-19 cases is almost at 1 million. There have been over 55,000 deaths thus far.